keep it in the KUAM News Zoom room and go to Revenue Tax Director Dafne Shimizu, who's standing by for an update this morning. Good morning, Dafne.
Half a day, Chris. Half a day, Jason. Half a day, Guam.
First of all, just want to wish you well and let you know that the department was in our thoughts as news came out. I think Thursday, right? That you guys had a couple positives. We just start there, Dafne? What's the status? Is everyone well? Is anyone in the hospital? Maybe run through the testing effort that went underway for DRT.
Sure, and actually, over the last 2 weeks, we've actually seen some activity. It's been quite eventful for us. 2 weeks ago, we did have a report of a positive case in our agency. And when that happened, that was 2 Thursdays ago. We did work with public health on that Thursday night to, of course, determine our plan of action. We were able to connect with their head contact tracing person. And we do have a contact tracer, a certified one within our agency as well. So we were able to connect our contact tracer with the head contact tracing person at the Department of Public Health. And I want to thank Public Health for all their assistance through this. So 2 Thursdays ago, that happened. On the Friday, we did announce that we did, of course, have that positive case that was identified. We had to shut down some branches on Friday. And then through the weekend, we were able to work with public health to get some branches up by the time that we opened up last week. We are actually for that case still. My understanding is there's still some clearance that's occurring, and that we're trying to get and coordinate with public health for some of the individuals who may have been impacted for that particular case. And then, of course, we were just dealing with that and trying to, of course, gear up to open up because of PCOR 2 happening this week. And then on Wednesday, we did get I believe Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, we got another notification of a positive. At that time, we closed down another 3 branches. And so, of course, that was very alarming for us. And as we're dealing with that, we actually ended up having another positive report on Thursday. So it has been very challenging. And because of the series of events and, of course, the number of cases, we were very concerned. We did meet with public health. We talked with them about, of course, again, our course of action, how we're going to address. And we did have to elevate it to them because it was pretty serious. And we wanted to make sure we kept our people safe. Not just the people within our agency, but also the people that come into our agency. So we did shut down Thursday afternoon, and we shut down on Friday as well. We are back up and running today.
Okay.
We are operating by appointment.
Daph, are you able to, was the determination made about whether or not these employees contracted the virus in dealing with customers at DRT, or was it something that they picked up outside of the workplace?
That's something that I do not have information on. It's not clear at this time. But, again, as soon as we did find out about the cases, of course, our team works with public health. We make sure that we do our interviews. And of course, we follow the proper protocol, which is, to interview, to identify those direct contacts with the positive or the potential positives so that we can make sure that, again, we, reduce the possibility of exposure. We did have some testing over the weekend that happened at the northern region on Saturday of some of our employees. We were not able to complete that testing for everyone that had wanted to get tested. So we are continuing that this morning. And so again, we're still kind of in the process of just trying to evaluate and make sure that we have a good idea of, what's going on with our agency. And we're keeping people safe. Chris and Jason, we actually had talked about within our agency and also communicated with public health a few weeks ago about doing mass regular testing. Of course, before we even were able to implement that, this has happened. And so it kind of forced us to move into a situation like this. People may have questions about our services. We are operating by appointment only. If you have an appointment at Rev and Tax, unless you have been contacted and advice that you have to reschedule, you should go ahead and just report to the agency, because we are actually open and we are, of course, servicing, but again, by appointment only. We could not, we had to make a decision about not doing walk-in services, at least beginning today, and we're going to be evaluating through the week when we can. But really, that's because we're still, again, working to get people clearance as we, work with public health, and we don't have, and in some areas we may not be fully staffed. So that's where we are with regards to our services and with regards to our efforts, again, to try to keep people safe. I also want to thank Guam, I believe it was GFD, and also Department of we did get our office decontaminated over the weekend. So in addition to the regular, sanitizing with alcohol, which we made sure that we had done already last week and in the weeks before, we actually were able to get our offices decontaminated, and that happened over the weekend. And so, we feel comfortable as we come in today that we're our area, our environment is a safe one to be working at.
We had a question here. If I had an appointment scheduled for Thursday or Friday, do I call to reschedule, or will DMV call me to reschedule?
So what we did, Chris, and for your listening audience, what we had done in the last week or the last couple of days last week is we worked to contact people if there was a need to reschedule. So, we did our best to contact them. If you have any questions, in our media release that we released the other day, we did actually indicate, of course, the numbers and the email addresses that you can contact us at if you have questions. But generally, unless you have been contacted, you should be able to continue to proceed to Rev and Tax and go to, again, for your services that you have an appointment for.
Okay, big question here, Daph. What about the stimulus? That's what everyone wants to know about. The status of the new stimulus. Has it been finalized? How much are we getting? Where are we in standing that up locally?
Sure. Okay, so over the weekend, I have been working, actually we've been just going back and forth with the IRS through the last several weeks, but over the weekend we did have meetings with IRS and, just to discuss and finalize our plan. And we were able to get through the review of our plan. Yesterday, we did provide the final information that I believe that was required in order for them to do a final review and hopefully now to get an approval. So we're now just waiting for approval of our plan. Basically the process is this: once our approval happens, then the IRS and the Treasury will work to initiate an advance of the monies that will be used to pay out the EIP round 2. And so again, we're just kind of waiting for that to happen. Today, of course, is Martin Luther King Jr., the holiday today stateside. So, they may not be at their offices. I know that also, there is a lot of work and things happening in anticipation of the inauguration, which is happening on Wednesday. Right. So it's quite busy in Washington, D.C. So our counterparts are also, I guess, also in that area and quite busy. But we did work through the weekend. And like I mentioned, we did, of course, provide some information, the last set of information yesterday. We expect about $100 million, and that's something that I believe that we had advised a while ago. And so once the plan is approved, we expect for the Treasury to quickly work to initiate the transfer of those monies to our bank accounts here, and so then that way we can work to pay. In terms of a target date, I know a few weeks ago Governor Leon Guerrero did mention that we were foreseeing that likely to January, early February is when we would be able to begin making payment. You know what? That's what we're targeting, of course, as soon as possible. But again, a lot of it is largely dependent upon when we're able to get the plan finalized and when we're able to get the monies transferred into our bank account.
Right. And how much, Daph, because it's so confusing. There's just so many different COVID-19 recovery plans and relief and assistance out there. How much is this current round of stimulus payments going to be for individual persons?
Okay, so how this will work, and I know that there is talk about there has been talk about another stimulus since about July.
Right.
There's been some confusion. The amounts have changed. So with regards to this particular program, which we're calling EIP Round 2, it is $600 for an individual taxpayer. That's the max you can get for an individual. For joint filers who are eligible, it's going to be $1,200. And then for each dependent that's eligible, that's under age 17, you can get $600. And again, the thresholds for the beginning of the phase out for income in terms of eligibility are the same as the same as the prior thresholds, which is 75,000 for individuals, 150,000 for joint filers. What's different though, Chris, and of course, as the IRS had gone through this first round of EIP, the things that they did want to make sure that they clarified were items with regards to, for example, deceased taxpayers. So what's different in this particular round is that there's clarification as to an individual, the date that somebody passes away, and whether or not you'd be eligible, even if you did pass away. And so, my understanding is, as long as you were alive on January 1, 2020, even if you did pass away through the year in 2020, there is still the possibility to be eligible. So that was one main clarification that was made in this particular round, which wasn't very clear in the first round. And so for individuals who have family members, maybe your spouse may have passed away in 2020, there was some concern about eligibility, and perhaps you may not have received that portion for your spouse. You will be able to file a return in 2020 so that way you can get that portion of the credit. And so again, that's one of the main things that was important.
Right. Just what is the last round of stimulus you used people who had filed in tax years, whatever it was. So this year, what's the criteria to be eligible to receive the payment? And for those who haven't filed, how did they get their name on the list?
Okay, and so for the first round of EIP payments, what was used was validly filed 2019 returns. And if you did not have a validly filed and processed 2019 return, then we look to your validly filed 2018 return. For this round, it's only a validly filed and processed 2019 return. So if you filed your 2019 return and it is an A status return, meaning that there are no errors in it, there's no missing information that we are requesting from you, then you should be able to receive it without having to do anything else. And so again, it's the validly filed 2019 tax return. There was no substitute year. So it's a validly filed 2019 return. And also, for those individuals who had a non-filer form as well. So it's either your validly filed 2019 return, or if you did not have a filing requirement because your income levels didn't meet the requirements to file a return, and you filed a non-filer form by November 21, 2020, then you should also be able to, as long as you're eligible and there's no issues with your taxes, you should be able to receive this. And, I do have to say our team has been working in the background with our systems group, with our systems vendor, to make sure that as soon as we get the monies that we're able to make payment. We've also been working with the Department of Administration to make sure as well that in terms of our checks and other supplies that we're ready on that end. So, we're, again, at this point, just kind of waiting and, and I believe I feel comfortable that we'll be good to go once we do receive the funding and of course run a couple of final tests on our system.
Just a random comment here, Daph, if you could. I'm trying to turn in my tax form, but the phone at Revenue Tax, they don't answer, left messages. I haven't got a response back. Chris, can you ask her, are people able to just go up and turn in their tax forms?
Okay, so because we are operating by appointment only at this time, you won't be able to go into our income tax section unless you have an appointment. However, we do have a drop box, and that drop box is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is actually right there in the front of our building in Barragata. It's to the right of the glass double doors, or if our office is closed, it's to the right of the shutters that are right there by the shutters. And so you can go ahead and drop your tax return there. You know what? It's very important though that you make sure, and we do have Dropbox instructions that we have issued, and I believe, which we still have outside by our Dropbox. Make sure you have a copy of your return so that way you can get your copy back. If you want it returned to you by mail, you can go ahead and include a self-addressed stamped envelope. And if you want us to contact you, please make sure that you also indicate, your contact information, the best phone number that we can get a hold of you at, and we'll work to get a hold of you so that we can get those back to you.
We had another comment here, Daph. What's the status on the updating of garnishment lists?
With regards to garnishments, we do receive, every time we do a check run, we do receive the list of individuals who will be garnished. And we receive those listings from the Guam Memorial Hospital and also from the Attorney General's office. And those are uploaded by our systems team every time that we do receive those listings and run a check run. And so they're updated regularly. And again, if people do have questions about a garnishment because they believe perhaps that they had satisfied their responsibility with the respective agencies, then they're going to actually need to contact those agencies. Once we receive those information, the first thing is Rev Tax does not have information outside of course, the amount that we're supposed to be garnishing. We don't have the information from GMH or from the Attorney General's office on specific cases. And so if people believe that there was an issue with their garnishment, they will have to contact either GMH or the AG's office for those. If you don't mind, though, I do want to say with regards, you reminded me that with regards to this new EIP, the EIP round 2, there actually are no garnishments at all for EIP round 2. EIP round 1, there was garnishments for child support. Right. EIP round 2, there's no garnishments, not even for child support. And so you will not see any garnishments at all. If people do have, if they do have some type of outstanding liability with the AG's office for child support, it will not be garnished in this EIP round 2.
We had another comment here, Daph. This is regarding the second round of stimulus. What happens to those who were 17 but just turned 18 and didn't get the first stimulus? Are we still, the first stimulus is closed, right? No more first stimulus.
Correct.
Okay. Does the age, Daph, does it really depend on what tax year you file in? So, for example, if you have a son or a daughter who's 18 now, but they were 17 in tax year 2019?
Well, so this is how it works, right? We look at the age of your dependent at the time the age of the dependent based on the return that is used, right? So if your dependent, if we used a 2018 return and your dependent qualified because they were under age 17, meaning they were 16 and below, then you know what, you will get the EIP for that dependent as long as all eligibility requirements are met. And again, so if for example, though, you may have not received it for some reason, and you were eligible, otherwise you can actually, for those individuals who didn't receive it for not just a dependent eligibility issue, but for any other reason that would have otherwise been eligible, for the 2020 tax filing season, 2021 tax filing season, you'll be able to file your tax return and you'll be able to receive it as long as you are eligible. So, the way that our plan was written for the EIP round 1 did specify that we would look at validly filed and processed returns for 2019 first. That meant that if you had filed something but we were not able to process it, then, for the purposes of trying to get the payments out quickly, we would be able to look at a validly filed and processed 2018 tax return. And so that was how that EIP round 1 worked. And again, for those people, again, who may not have received the full amount, it is possible for you to receive more when you do file your 2021 tax return. And although, Chris, EIP round 1 is done, and you're not going to be able to receive any actual what is called EIP, you'll actually be able to receive what's now called the rebate recovery credit. So whatever difference that you may not have received because you were otherwise eligible, when you file your 2020 tax return this year, you may actually be able to receive it.
Okay. Sorry, Daph, there's just comments keep coming in here. Where's see? This is a DMV question. Need some guidance. Our vehicle is expired for new tag this year and for late December has been safety inspected, but no answer at DMV. What is the status on the vehicle registration, DAF, are we still getting a pass on that, or is it back to normal?
Well, so with regards to vehicle registrations, and thank you for asking that, we're going to be doing a few things. One, we are going to be issuing our COVID series, our volume 10 of our COVID services series. In volume 10, and what our vehicle registration supervisors have talked with me about was clarifying a few things with regards to vehicle registration. As you know, with driver's licenses, we issued an automatic extension, an automatic extension letter, so it's very clear that not only are penalties and late fees waived for late driver's license renewals or Guam ID renewals within this certain period, that also, the validity of those licenses, they are still valid until a certain period. So we're going to be working on doing that as well with the vehicle registrations. I think that when we issued our guidance, perhaps it was not clear that the intention is dual, not just to give people the opportunity to have a little bit more time to get their vehicle registrations done, but also to make sure that it was clear that the intention has been and is and continues to be to let people know that even if you have not been able to renew your vehicle registration for whatever reason, that we are giving you consideration and we're going to be giving you additional time to be able to do that. So, if your vehicle registration has expired, we are, again, working to provide some kind of consideration. The great thing is you can do vehicle registrations online. I've done my own vehicle registration online, and it's quite easy. If you go to a safety inspection agency, it's going to be important that you inquire with them on whether they are able to upload information of your safety inspection onto our website. The majority of safety inspection agencies, I believe, are able to do so. Our team has actually done outreach to those that were not previously. So I'm hoping that the majority of them are able to do so. There's two pieces of information you're going to need when you're going to get online. One of them is going to be your insurance information. That's going to have to be uploaded, and also your safety inspection information has to be uploaded. Once those are in the system, you could be able to log in, and you can actually go ahead and enter your vehicle identification number, the VIN number, or you can enter your license plate number, and you should be able to find it, and then you should just be able to renew it. And it's pretty easy. I've also done it myself, and I can vouch for that system. But if you're not able to do that for some reason, you can make an appointment so you can come in. And again, we are trying to make it so that we recognize the challenges that people face in trying to get these things done. But we are giving consideration for that, Chris.
Daphne, just asking for a friend because I just noticed his plates expired in December. What did you say about Volume 10 coming out and an additional grace period?
For a friend.
For a friend.
For a
Strictly
friend.
for a friend.
Yeah.
Is the friend from EPAN or?
Yeah, they might be around that. Yeah,
Well, so for that friend, don't be disheartened. Actually, we were actually slated to issue or release our volume 10 in this coming week in anticipation of change in our operations. But because of this situation that we have with the positive cases and with our contact tracing and with trying to make this assessment, we did not release that. We're preparing to release it. And as soon as we have a change in our operations, we're going to be releasing that. And so, if you could just let your friend know that, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Yeah,
let them know.
I think
I'll let them know.
I think his friend's name is Fliss Garnett.
We had another comment here, Daph. Can we come in to make our
net bay.
Yeah. Can we come in to make our real property tax payment, or do we make an appointment to do this?
Okay, so for real property tax payments, you can actually make them at the Treasurer of Guam at the ITC building. And so if you have your real property tax statements, we did release those back in December. You can take those over to the Treasurer of Guam if you want to make that payment in person. But actually, you can pay those online, Chris. You can get online as long as you have your real property tax statement and your parcel identification number. You can get onto myguamtax.com and you can pay those. So you don't actually have to even leave the comfort of your own home in order to make payment for real property taxes.
I just got a call here. Those receiving Social Security, do they have to fill out the non-filer form for the stimulus?
With regards to filing of a non-filer form, we had actually closed that portal up, so and have stopped receiving those. So regarding the individuals who receive Social Security veterans benefits and the veterans benefits, as well as also, I believe it's railroad benefits. We did work with the IRS in the last year, and we actually had made payment for the remainder of the people who had not filed a non-filer or a tax form. So if there was anybody that we had not already paid out, in the list that we did receive from the IRS, we worked to pay those out. And so if you are a Social Security veterans, a VA or an RRB recipient, a federal benefit recipient, you know what, and you should be able to receive those payments. Again, we do base that information on the information that we had received from the IRS, and we're gonna also make payments out to those federal benefit recipients for EIP round 2, same as we did with EIP round 1.
Okay, so for round 2, they're going to have to get the non-filer form.
No,
Okay.
actually, again, for round 2, you won't need to do anything if you've already filed your non-filer form, or if you've already filed your 2019 return. You know, we're just going to go ahead and make payment based on what we have in the system. And again, for Social Security veterans benefit recipients, RRB recipients, those individuals, their information was provided to us by the IRS.
I see.
So there's nothing that they have to do. Now, we will be issuing our FAQ on the EIP round 2, so that people are aware of, you know, the information, the relevant information, what they need to do, if anything, how they can communicate with us. But if you've already filed your 2019 return, as long as it's A status, or if you filed your non-filer form as of November 21, 2020, and you were eligible, then you should be able to receive EIP round 2.
Okay, sorry, Daph. There's just a lot of comments coming in here. What? This is a DMV question. What happens to those young ones who have passed all their testing and got their permit, and now they're supposed to be getting their intermediate license? What happens to those who have completed their driving tests?
Okay, so so we do have a graduated process, which I've had to learn because I did not have to go through the graduated process myself. But if you've already received your permit, and well, first of all, if you've passed the UOG exam, the written exam, and you need a permit, we have a form that you can use it, so that way you can request for your permit to be mailed to you. And so that's the first level, right, is receiving the permit. Now, when you're done with the period, I believe there's a 6-month waiting period, the minimum that exists for people to convert from a permit to an intermediate. So when you're ready to convert from a permit to intermediate, we also have another form that you can use, so that way we can mail your intermediate license to you. And when you're ready to go from your intermediate to your regular license, we also have a form that you can use for that. And so if you're not able to get in, because of course our appointments are scheduled, into late this year already, we do have forms for that. It does require notarization, of course, and passport pictures. But the great thing about that is once you're able to get that information to us, we actually mail it to you. So outside of either mailing the form to us or dropping it in our Dropbox, you really will, not have to actually sit in our office. You can drop it in our Dropbox, mail it to us, and we can mail those things back to you, whether it's a permit or a driver's license, an intermediate, or a regular driver's license.
One more question here, Daph. What about vehicle transfers? And then also there was a question about how can people make an appointment for tax preparation assistance?
Okay, so for vehicle transfers, that requires an appointment. And so you will have to contact our vehicle registration branch for that. You can email us. I don't have the email address on me right now, but you can email our vehicle registration branch. You can call us and we should be able to assist you with getting an appointment for that. The reason why you have to come in, of course, is because there is some information that we have to get. And of course, when there is a transfer of the vehicle, there is some level of we have to do certain validations, I guess, in terms of identity, things like that, when you're doing a vehicle transfer. So that requires an appointment, at least at this time. So that's the one. Now, I'm sorry, Chris, the other question was, I missed that.
The other question was tax preparation assistance appointments.
Okay. So for tax preparation assistance, I will have to get back to you. Our team has actually kind of been going back and forth in terms of that. We actually had just released information on the start of our 2021 tax filing season. usually it starts at the end of January. In line with what's happening with nationwide with the IRS, we are also, which moved the IRS did move the deadline to Feb 12, or sorry, the start date to Feb 12. We're also starting in Feb 12. We'll have more information on tax preparation and other things as we get closer. We are right now, of course, gearing up to do EIP round 2. We're also doing test runs of our online Form 1040s, trying to make sure that we can get as many people to file online as possible. In this last week, I'm happy to announce we did our first direct deposits of refunds ever. We had not ever done direct deposits of refunds. So those are the things that we've been working on, and we're going to continue to try to, again, encourage people to try to avail of is direct deposits of refunds and also of our online filing process.
Right. Last couple of questions, Daph, because you've been on. This is probably about 28 different stories that we have from this one interview. But where are we?
Okay.
Where are we in terms of which refunds are we paying out up to what date, and then also what's the status on all the different assistance programs that are being paid out of Rev and Tax?
Sure. So regarding the paid out date, we did do a media release last week, Friday, about our refunds. We had processed through and paid out through July 22, 2020 filing dates for A status returns as of July 22nd, 2020. A lot of the questions are, of course, with regards to the permanent injunction and whether that, 6-month deadline is being met. And so, we've actually paid out again through July 22, 2020, which brings us into this week. And so each week we'll be processing, again, to make sure that we keep in line with the permanent injunction. So as long as your tax return was A status, you should have, and you filed on or before July 22, you should have received your refund already, or you should be receiving it in this week. That's the status of the refund. For Azudium and Gutha, we actually did work to make sure that we made as many payments as possible by December 31. I did inquire with my team on whether there were more payments. My understanding, of course, because we did try to get everything out before we flip the year. I believe that there are still there is still a few Azudium and Gutha returns or applications that are being addressed right now, and which we're trying to work to make payment on. And if you still have an outstanding application and you haven't received a notice from us and you have a question about it, you can contact us regarding that. So that's our refunds, and that's Azudium and Gutha. EIP round 1, as I mentioned, the last payments for that went out by law by December 31, 2020. There's no more EIP round 1 payments. Now, EIP round 2 is forthcoming. We're expecting to make those payments very, very soon. For those people with regards to EIP round 1, if you did not receive it, if you had an issue and you believe you were eligible, because we're no longer doing EIP round 1, you're going to have to file your 2020 tax return this year in order to be able to get the EIP. And when it comes to the 2020 tax return, we no longer call it EIP, we call it RRC, which is rebate recovery credit. So there's a lot of different little acronyms and it makes it a little bit confusing. But again, if you're eligible, you did not receive it for some reason. Maybe you didn't file your return on time. Maybe maybe you had a new child in 2020 and were not able to get the $500 benefit for that child for EIP round 1. And if that's the case, then you will be able to get that as long as you're eligible when you file your 2020 tax return, and you can begin filing your 2020 tax return on February 12th, which is a Friday.
Jason, did you have any questions? No, you're good.
Yeah, no, there was a lot, but Daph, I do know we there are a lot of comments and everything like that. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna try and retroactively apply a lot of what you were telling us, so the people that were asking comments and everything can get the information thereafter. But thanks a lot, Daph.
Right. Well, we tried to.
I was waiting for you to ask me. That's my favorite movie that has to do with accounting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Accountant.
Tell you what, hang on one sec. Let me bring.
Did you see The Accountant, Daphne?
That's right. That was my favorite. Probably the best movie that the most action-packed fun movie to watch about accountants was The Accountant.
Right.
And so I was waiting for you to ask me that.
I'm
You
trying
know
to think
what?
of
My
how many
husband
movies there
calls
are
me
with
a
like
bean counter.
bookkeepers. I mean, there's a ton of movies about people that work in finance.
You got to watch The Accountant. Did you watch that?
That with Ben Affleck, I did not see that. But.
It was really action packed, and I love that movie.
Well, if that's your favorite accounting movie, I feel like we got to watch our back around you, Daphne. Go see the
That's
movie
right.
if you don't know what we're talking about. Daphne, well, we
Okay,
tried,
but thanks again.
of course. We
Thank
tried
you
to get.
so much, Chris and Jason,
Right.
and to your listeners, of course, Chris, as you know, if they have questions,
Right.
you can shoot them over to me, and we'll do our best to get information back to you as soon as we can.
There you go. And just to kind of recap on the second round of stimulus, they've submitted their plan to the feds. They're waiting for that plan to be approved, and then also for a download of I think $100 million. And then when they open that up, go ahead.
Yes, for about $100 million is what we're expecting.
And then when you open that up, it's not like if you don't get it that day, you're not going to get a stimulus. There's going to be a window where you can do all the things that you have to do, and we'll bring Daphne on because we know that money means a lot to so many of our people. And like the first round, Daphne, sounds like you're hitting the ground running on this. So thank you so much for that, Daph.
Yes, and you know what? We're going to do our best to get these monies out to everybody. We promise you, and Chris and Jason will let you know as soon as we have our plan approved and we get that money into our bank accounts.
Okay.
Have a great day, Guam.
All right. Can you tell Sabrina that we did a good job while she was on leave?
Sabrina, I actually was waiting for her. Sabrina, I miss you. I want to just say a happy day to Sabrina, too. I was waiting to say hello to her, and I was wondering where she might be. So happy day, Sabrina.
There you go. She's on her first day of leave. Well, so I know she's having a good time. She's probably listening, taking notes, actually, knowing her. Thanks, Daphne. Be safe.
And Daph, I'm gonna go add the accountant on my Netflix queue and everything. Like since I've gotten a recommendation from a trusted friend.
Right. Okay.
Thanks,
We'll
Daph.
see you, Daphne.
Now you know what, Chris? Our next guest. I wonder what movies there are about mayors. The best movies I can think of.
I'm just still kind of like, if you guys haven't seen The Accountant, it's one of my favorite movies. It's pretty cool.
You know, it's a good movie about Mayor Jesse Alec is joining us right now. Mayor Rudy Paco is here too. So Mayor Paco, if you're here, can you